If the way right, then we straight right. I get money, Kid Cudi day and night.
He said what he was gonna do, and he did it. In the late night, early morning hours, Donald Trump sent his enforcers into Venezuela and things got ugly. Venezuelan President Maduro and his wife was captured. I'm not surprised, and I'm sure you guys are not surprised as well, because when Donald Trump says he's going to do something, he does it. And his record is undefeated. I mean, he doesn't lose and he doesn't miss. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video so we can spread the word. Before we hear what Donald Trump has to say about what happened, I got a message from a Somalian daycare owner from Minnesota, and he had a message and I wanted y'all to hear it.
It's so-called must be all this ice on my wrist. I am the captain now. Ayo, bitch, give me that tax money. Enter on conduct fair businesses. One day if you study hard enough, you can be just like me. Who cares? Send those taxes my way. I just bought another man.
Nicolas Maduro has landed in New York and is en route to New York City to face criminal charges. This after the U.S. successfully carried out a large-scale military operation in Venezuela, striking multiple targets and capturing Maduro along with his wife, Celia Flores.
We have team coverage for you tonight with the implications of the attack and reaction from Venezuelans here in Southern California. Let's begin now with Conan Nolan live in our newsroom. Conan.
Bold and very controversial attack by the United States in Venezuela, an extraction of the president of that country. This comes 36 years to the day that the U.S. did essentially the same thing in Panama to the president Noriega at that time. But this dynamic is much different than that one. A remarkable and historic scene tonight in New York. Federal agents escorting off a U.S. government aircraft the now former president of Venezuela. This after Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores had been captured during a U.S. military raid on the presidential palace in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. President Trump announcing the extraction of Maduro, who is taken to the United States to face federal charges of narco-terrorism.
The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans.
The dramatic raid taking part in the...
Trump had that look in his face like, I tried to tell him. He ain't listen.
Early morning hours, video on the ground capturing multiple explosions and low-flying aircraft. General Dan Kane is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He says the entire operation took less than 30 minutes.
On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force. And so,
you mean to tell me they got this done in 30 minutes? I mean, I guess I can't be too surprised, because we all know that the United States has the best military. The United States has the best equipment. They're more advanced than any other army or military in the world, and those boys are unstoppable.
Self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission.
There were no U.S. fatalities, although several service personnel were injured. The president says with Maduro gone, the U.S. will run Venezuela indefinitely.
So we are going to run the country until...
Trump said, this is my country now. He really went in there and just snatched it up, called him snoozing, and took his country.
such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Mr. Trump making reference to Venezuela's vast oil reserves.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground, and that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Nicolas Maduro.
I hope that also means gas, diesel, and oil prices are going to go down for us over here in the United States. And if I was you guys, I probably would look into oil stocks real soon. There's probably going to be some money to be made.
Took over from his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, in 2013, promising to maintain his predecessor's self-described socialist revolution. His 2018 re-election was widely considered a sham because the main opposition parties were banned from participating. In the 2024 re-election, authorities loyal to Maduro declared him the winner. But journalists, diplomats, and academics gathered overwhelming evidence that he had lost by a 2-to-1 majority. No one on Capitol Hill came to Maduro's support, but many called his military apprehension illegal. U.S. Senator Adam Schiff posting that Americans deserve better than a president who so openly breaks his promises of peace when there are oil profits on the line. San Gabriel Congressman Gil Cisneros is on the House Armed Services Committee.
They said it wasn't going to be about regime change. That's exactly what Secretary Rubio said. This was not about, but yet it is. Right now they are saying they're going to be running the government. These are the things that we're questioning now.
Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight.
That, of course, is Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who went on to say that Congress was not told about this in advance because it would have jeopardized the operation. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
Hello, everybody. Mr. President. Good morning. Okay, thank you very much. This is big stuff.
I think this situation has definitely boosted Donald Trump's confidence. I mean, did you see how smooth he walked over to the podium? You could see it all in every step that he took to the podium, that his confidence is through the roof right now.
We appreciate you being here. Late last night and early today, at my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer.
Our military has some of the best technology and weapons, and I can tell that Donald Trump loves to use this stuff, man. I mean, it's almost like he can't wait for somebody to mess up so he can send in some of those new jets, you know, send in some of those new bombs they got over there. I mean, I could tell he likes to play with those new weapons and all that technology we got, for sure.
all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was.
Trump said we caught him snoozing. We cut all the lights out. Trump said they knocked all the power out due to some kind of technique that they use. Man, Trump loves to play around with the weapons and technology that the United States has. And like I said, I can tell that a lot of times he can't wait to test some of this stuff out on his enemies.
Dark, and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but
I hope we do get to see it. I want to see the footage. Show us a little bit at least.
It was an incredible thing to see.
I want to see.
Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed.
And it's probably safe to say that it got ugly for Venezuela over there.
The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela.
In that case, I hope that what they done overnight deeply impacts those drugs coming from Venezuela, especially the Fetty, because the stuff I see out here in these streets is sad, man. It's sad, it's sick. And it's just an ugly sight, man. And sounds like Venezuela might be responsible for a lot of it. I'm sure there's stuff that comes from a whole lot of other places. I know there is. So I can't say Venezuela is 100% responsible for the impact of the Fetty that's out here on the streets. But I'm glad that this is just one more player that is knocked off the board.
We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
He said we are gonna run it. The United States is gonna run Venezuela until they can run it themselves. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, man. We're gonna be running Venezuela from now until forever, man. Maduro lost his country to the United States. Venezuelans, they don't have anybody else to blame but Maduro for this. But it can be a good thing for Venezuela. And like I said, hopefully it's a good thing for us when it comes to the gas, the diesel, and the oil, because we are about to get a whole lot of oil from Venezuela from here on out.
Everyone knows the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the...
I'm telling y'all right now, Monday morning, start looking into those oil stocks, because I got a feeling it's about to be up and stuck.
Badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now
I think Trump trying to send them a subliminal over there in Venezuela, like, don't make us come back up in there now. That's what he really saying. Don't make us come back.
it's probably not the first wave, if you'd like to call it that. The first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually.
Yeah, he definitely sending them a subliminal. Basically, he's saying, don't make us come back. Y'all better act right.
This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans, hundreds of.
So what they did over in Venezuela should really deeply impact the drug trade. But I'm not sure that's going to happen because the drugs have never stopped. They've never been able to stop all the drugs. You stop it in Venezuela, it's going to come from somewhere else.
Thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now they're on a ship. They'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide, and he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were.
Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know Tren de la Aragua. I didn't know they was cutting people's fingers off if they called the police. I mean, no snitching has always been a thing and probably will always be a thing. But as far as people's fingers getting cut off for calling 911, that's a new one. I haven't heard that yet. So shout out to Donald Trump for getting them out the game. We don't need nobody like that around, man.
Brutal. But they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're walking their daughters. They're walking their children, their wives. They walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. It's been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the thing...
I think the impact of Trump sending those National Guards into these cities was a good thing. And I think it's something that needs to continue to happen. And maybe they need to just make the National Guard a permanent part of enforcing crime or enforcing the law in a lot of these major cities across America. It's too much killing and too many dangerous drugs on the streets right now. So shout out to the National Guard, and hopefully this is something that can be a permanent thing being done in most of these cities. And I know a lot of people in a lot of these cities don't like it, but I know that there's a lot of people in these cities that do like it, and they feel safer with this being done. So shout out to that.
The place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua. And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungary, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions, they sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers, they were drug kingpins, they sent everybody bad into the United States. But no longer, and we have now a border where nobody gets through.
Get them out of here.
In addition, Venezuela unilaterally seized and stole American oil, American assets, and American platforms, costing us billions and billions of dollars. They did this a while ago, but we never had a president that did anything about it. They took all of our property. It was our property. We built it. And we never had a president that decided to do anything about it. Instead, they fought wars that were 10,000 miles away. We built Venezuela oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Considered the largest theft of property in the history of our country. Massive oil infrastructure was taken like we were babies, and we didn't do anything about it. I would have done something about it. America will never allow foreign powers to rob our people or drive us back into and out of our own hemisphere. That's what they did. Furthermore, under the now deposed dictator Maduro, Venezuela was increasingly hosting foreign adversaries in our region and acquiring menacing offensive weapons that could threaten U.S. interests and lives. And they used those weapons last night. Potentially in league with the cartels operating along our border. All of these actions were in gross violation of the core principles of American foreign policy, dating back more than 2 centuries. And not anymore. All the way back, it dated to the Monroe Doctrines. And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal. But we've superseded it by a lot. By a real lot. They now call it the Monroe Document. I don't know. It's Monroe Doctrine. We sort of forgot about it. It was very important, but we forgot about it. We don't forget about it anymore. Under our new national security strategy, American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again. Won't happen. So just in concluding, for decades, other administrations have neglected or even contributed to these growing security threats in the Western Hemisphere. Under the Trump administration, we are reasserting American power in a very powerful way in our home region. And our home region is very different than it was just a short while ago. The future will be, and we did this in my first term. We had great dominance in my first term, and we have far greater dominance right now.
I agree with everything he just said. And I don't believe that any other country wants to play with us right now. Thanks to Trump.
Everyone's coming back to us. The future will be determined by the ability to protect commerce and territory and resources that are core to national security. These are core to our national security. Just like tariffs are, they've made our country rich, and they've made our national security stronger than ever before. But these are the iron laws that have always determined global power. And we're going to keep it that way. We will secure our borders. We will stop the terrorists. We will crash the cartels, and we will defend our citizens against all threats, foreign and domestic. Other presidents may have lacked the courage or whatever to defend America, but I will never allow terrorists and criminals to operate with impunity against the United States. This extremely successful operation should serve as warning to anyone who would threaten American sovereignty or endanger American lives. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect. The American Armada remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just fair, even to their people.
I think these guys in these other countries better listen. Trump said, you don't act right, what just happened to these guys over here in Venezuela? Oh, it's going to happen to you. So you better get your mind right.
The dictator and terrorist, Maduro, is finally gone in Venezuela. People are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's a fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you explain how the U.S. will run Venezuela?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Finally, a commander-in-chief the world respects and the American people deserve. And as the President said, words can barely capture the bravery and the power and the precision of this historic operation. A massive joint military and law enforcement raid flawlessly executed by the greatest Americans our country has to offer. American warriors are second to none, the best in the world and the best of our country. What all of us witnessed last night was sheer guts and grit, gallantry and glory of the American warrior. I'm simply humbled by such men, and I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve. The most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the President said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolas Maduro.
Trump pulled all the weapons out. The Black Hawks, the most advanced fighter jets. He had ships in the ocean. He had soldiers on the ground with the most advanced weapon technology ever known to man. I know those Venezuelans was shook. They had to be shook. I know Maduro was shook, even though, like Trump said, they probably already knew that they were coming because their presence was already kind of around, you know, ships in the ocean and stuff like that. But when they really showed up and kicked down that door, I know Maduro was shook. Shooketh.
Had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around and he found out.
I know he didn't say that. He said Maduro effed around and found out. Oh man, they crazy. But he ain't lying. Maduro definitely found out. Like I said, he was shook.
Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026, and under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome.
I agree with everything he just said, and I like everything he just said. We are back, and hopefully things over here in America get a lot better for us financially now that we just took over Venezuela's oil, because prices over here are out of control. But I will say that I have noticed things are getting a little better at the pump and maybe in the grocery store a little bit. So hopefully we continue to make things better for Americans financially, and hopefully what they just done over there will help out with that a lot.
Now our Chairman Raisin Kane, to give a few more details about the operation. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning.
That fool got a hard ass name, don't he? Raisin Kane. I wonder if that's really his name. That's a hard ass name right there.
Last night, on the order of the President of the United States and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolas and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd, and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over the.
Basically, they just wanted to catch them lacking, and when they caught them slipping, they made their move, man. Caught them snoozing, and it was over. Things got ugly.
Last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force.
Maduro didn't have a chance. He had no chance of getting away. They stopped that man. They figured everything out about him. And when the time was right, they went in there and got that ass. Fuck around and found out.
Was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel, so as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings, but when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49, and there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead.
Man, they ain't have no chance in hell of getting up out of that. He said they was hitting them from space, from in the sky. I mean, they was... United States is no joke, man. We have the best and most advanced weapon systems in the world, man. Don't nobody want to see that.
Those forces were protected from aircraft, were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force. Maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel, so as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met and the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings, but when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time last night, the president ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire joint force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49, and there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines.
That's the part I wanted to hear right there. So he said aircraft was protected by aircraft. Man, they went in there prepared not to lose. Aircraft was protected by aircraft. Them boys was not playing. Shout out to the United States military.
United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous...
Look at the look on Trump's face when he started naming that stuff up. Trump was looking like, I didn't even know we had those. Oh, he was looking like, I didn't know we had that.
Remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas, the Joint Air Component began dismantling and disabling the air defense systems in Venezuela, employing weapons to ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force.
It was safe to say Venezuela was not ready.
While apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the President said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world.
They really did make a big accomplishment in a short amount of time. Everybody in America right now should be proud of the United States military. Those guys are doing a hell of a job. Shout out to those guys, man. Shout out to the United States military.
I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolas Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela. That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognized him. He's not recognized by the European Union and multiple countries around the world. He is a fugitive of American justice with a $50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
we should make sure.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I would have knew he had a $50 million reward on his head. I probably would have suited up and went over there and tried to find him my damn self, man. $50 million for that boy. And I wonder if the soldiers that were the ones to kick the door down and actually, I'm sure they zip tied him, put the zip ties on him and his wife. I wonder if they are gonna get that 50 million. Man, 50 million on his head. Yeah, I would have suited up and went over there and tried to find him for that 50 mil.
Exactly, but
don't let anybody claim it. Nobody deserves it but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolas Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight.
So they gave Maduro a chance. I guess he just wanted to take his chances and see what would happen. I think he should have just listened to those guys, because he probably could have went somewhere else in the world, somewhere else in Venezuela, and laid low and just finished living out life. Now he's over here in the United States. I just seen it run across the TV that he just landed. So he's going to be tried and locked up in the United States. And I'm sure they're going to make sure that it's not good for him. Probably going to be locked in a cage for 24 or more, like El Chapo. It's all bad, man. He should have took the opportunities they gave him and got out of Dodge, man, when he had a chance. It's too late now, though. I wish I could have got that 50 million.
Another message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen.
Right.
And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when tells you he's going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it.
Business.
I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this. We're going to take. This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know.
He's exactly right, man. I have never seen a president take action the way that Donald Trump does and has. He's been in there for, a year now? And he has done a lot. And he's doing a lot. And I can't wait to see what else he does in 2026, because 2025, he definitely had been proving himself.
Now you know, because this is the way it's going to play out, and I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences, and if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. And so now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think the message here doesn't go out looking for people to pick fights with. He's not generally wants to get along with everybody. We'll talk and meet with anybody, but don't play games. Don't play games with this president's in office, because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night, and we hope it'll be instructive moving forward.
Is that a message for Cuba?
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Mr. President.
You said that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela.
You can't play games with Donald Trump. That man said, don't play games. Don't play with us.
So who's in power right now?
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but it's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, they always say boots on the ground. So we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important.
Trump's main thing is always, we're going to make a lot of money. That's his thing, making a lot of money. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like that in him, actually. But I noticed that that's the main thing that comes out of his mouth every time. We're going to make a lot of money. We're getting rich. We're going to get rich. Shout out to Donald Trump.
Couldn't let them get away with it. They stole our oil. We built that whole industry there, and they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, can you explain the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done right now. We're designating people. We're talking to people. We're designating various people, and we're going to let you know who those people are.
Mr. President.
What's the group you mentioned that would run Venezuela?
Well, it's largely going to be, for a period of time, the people that are standing right behind me. We're going to be running it. We're going to be bringing it back. It's a dead, I talk about a dead country. A year and a half ago, we were a dead country. Now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're a country doing better than any country anywhere in the world. And it required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country that were forced out of Venezuela.
Rubio would be...
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice president of Venezuela. Are you going to work with the vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship
Well,
going?
I understand she was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro.